The certification of the 2024 presidential election is almost here, and it seems as though Donald Trump can do no wrong. Basically, all of his staff picks have been superb so far. His approval ratings are averaging 55%, according to CNN. Of course, he recently won Person of the Year. Predictably, the liberals are not taking any of this well. According to a survey that was conducted a week after the assassination attempt back in July, a third of Democrat voters agreed with the statement, "I wish Trump's assassin hadn't missed." If that was how they were feeling back then, I shudder to think about how they're feeling now. But somebody's got to talk about it, and I guess that somebody is going to be me. Will the liberals carry out their own version of January 6th? And if so, will the Secret Service notice? I'm Luke Garnett, and this is The Low Grade Show. Alright, let's start off by looking at how liberals reacted to Trump winning. So here are some videos that liberal influencers posted online right after Trump won. Keep in mind that this is the party that calls itself the Party of Unity, the party of love and peace, the party that shuns racism. Here are the videos.
I would purchase a Glock, and if you and I are walking on the same street and it's dark out and you're a white male, you have to be white for this to count, okay? Even if you don't approach me, I will shoot you. Yeah, I know.
What I'm saying right now is that someone in the White House would better take their shot right now. And better not this.
If you voted for Trump, I think that you deserve to die by my hands. More specifically, by the rake that's in my hand.
You know what Weird Al song would be perfect right now?
And if that isn't love, I don't know what love is. Na, 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 na.
So, that's what people said right after the election. This is what people said a little more recently, according to a survey done in mid-November. Quote, fear and anger are dominant emotions among Democrats. Nearly 3/4 of Democrats, 73%, say that they are fearful about the state of the country, while 54% say they feel angry. 29% of Democrats feel hopeful, and 14% feel proud. Now, obviously, these numbers do not necessarily represent the opinion Democrats have nationwide. This survey only involved 9,600 people, and they surveyed both Republicans and Democrats. Likewise, I don't think we should be that worried about the social media influencers I brought up before. I mean, they are threatening mass murder, but in order to commit mass murder, these people would have to go outside, and since most of these people are expressing their rage on TikTok, I doubt that going outside is a risk they think is worth taking. Of course, it is not unheard of for people to publicly protest the results of a presidential election. Obviously, it happened in 2021, but it also happened in 2017, after Trump won the first time, and in 2001, after George W. Bush won. J6 is the outlier because things got a little nasty that time. According to the Babylon Bee, it was, quote, the day democracy almost got killed in the face. Pretty serious stuff. Jokes aside, I think we can say for certain that if there is another riot, the liberals will attack without mercy, which would mean bad news for the mainstream media outlets. They have already spent years telling us the Black Lives Matter riots are totally fine because they're for a good cause, $2 billion in damages. But it's going to be hard for them to do the same thing with the storming of the Capitol, especially after what they've already said about the 2021 riots. And CNN is hanging by a thread as it is, so if there is a riot, the news anchors will have no choice but to gloss over it. If there is a riot, will Kamala Harris be held responsible for inciting it? I do not think so. If anything, she's calling for less violence than Trump did when he lost. This was her on November 6th.
Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition.
I don't think he'll want your help.
And that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
I'm not sure why everybody's cheering.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Oh, this is
painful. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight.
No. I can't take it anymore. Please stop it. Now, she said fight a lot, but she also emphasized the peaceful transition of power. I don't know why everyone cheered at that part. I combed through her entire very stupid speech, and I think her hands are clean. I think she's taken this well. She's definitely taken it better than Trump did. Again, I don't think Trump deliberately caused J6, but he definitely didn't take it as well as Kamala is taking it now. Also, a little bird told me that Kamala's supporters weren't a huge fan of her speech because she said the word fight a lot, and fight is Trump's catchphrase, so that's why they did it. It's amazing. Everything is a victory for us at this point.
Look at me, I just can't stop winning.
So whatever Kamala Harris wants, she wants to keep it peaceful. She definitely doesn't want Trump dead. Obviously, she wants Trump dead. This was her in 2018.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
So yeah, she probably wants Trump dead, but she doesn't want to have to deal with the fallout of questions she'd be asked afterwards, because then she'd have to choose between condemning the assassin or praising them instead. And since she's already condemned both of the assassination attempts, it would be hard for her to change tactics now. But if she were to stay the course, she would still lose too many supporters, because too many Democrats would be, not all of them celebrating, but most would definitely be relieved to be rid of Trump, and they'd be angry to have Kamala not agree with them. Either way, she'd be stuck, and her dreams of running for California governor would be ruined. So if Trump is assassinated, we can at least rest assured that he will have the last laugh against Kamala. But we might not have to worry about riots at all. A lot of liberals are still really angry, but they aren't as active on the streets as they used to be. Case in point, the aftermath of the Daniel Penny trial. I've been made aware that there are some of my listeners who might not know about Daniel Penny, so let me recap. Daniel Penny is a Marine veteran who was taking the New York subway to the gym one time when a homeless man named Jordan Neely stormed into the train and started threatening to kill everyone. As things escalated, Penny jumped up from behind and grabbed him around the neck to restrain him, using a technique he says he learned during military training. A couple other people jumped up to help him as well. Eventually, Neely dropped dead from a combination of marijuana illness, exhaustion, and schizophrenia. The liberals immediately started calling Penny a racist and murderer, and 10 days later, he was charged with second-degree manslaughter. Now, I know this may be a shock to some of you, but not every killing is motivated by racism. It wasn't even a kill. Daniel Penny did not kill him. He restrained him. Neely was already loaded with drugs. He was practically on his way out anyway. And whatever it was, it could have been motivated by racism, or it could have been the fact that Jordan Neely was walking up to people saying that he was going to kill them and that he didn't mind getting a life sentence, and nobody was doing anything to stop him. So, after a year of having to deal with a judge who also happened to be corrupt, shocker, Penny has finally been pronounced not guilty. This has been a huge victory for the right, and the Democrats are mad furious. Here was Jordan Neely's father, who is suddenly taking a very strong interest in his son for the first time in years.
I just want to say, I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now?
No answer.
I had enough of this. System is rigged.
I love how he says, the system is rigged. And the other guy's like, yeah, definitely. Well, Mr. Neely, you did a great job supporting your son that one time he got arrested. That's a lie. It wasn't one time. It was 42 times. As far as we know, his dad never showed up for any of those trials. So in the typical Black Lives Matter fashion, he's calling for an uprising, but he hasn't been getting it. It hasn't been like George Floyd. When George Floyd was killed, there was just total destruction. Billions of dollars in damages. But it hasn't happened this time. There have been protests, but not violent protests. So maybe this is a sign that people are starting to wake up, and they're beginning to realize that the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't actually care about black lives at all. They only care about money. So with this in mind, it seems very unlikely that there will be a storming of the Capitol. Which isn't to say that Trump is out of the woods just yet. There are still a lot of people, like terrorists, who would love to get their hands on him. While I was doing research for this episode, I came across a pretty cool podcast called The Glenn Beck Program, and in one of the episodes, Glenn Beck talks to a Secret Service veteran who apparently shares my concerns for Donald Trump's safety. Let's have a listen.
Well, you know, Glenn, I don't think I said anything that most people hadn't surmised to begin with about the deficiencies and the shortcomings of the Secret Service and how they've allowed their political feelings to compromise the mission of the Secret Service in providing the adequate level of protection for President Trump.
Right.
Right. It is. I think it's more than obvious to real bad guys or evildoers, as W would have put it, that every incident that's gone on that involved President Trump since he was shot in Butler, to include the incident with the guy on the golf course, the Chinese national walking onto the Mar-a-Lago property, other incidents. People are watching these things, and they're viewing them as a test of the response of the Secret Service. And I've got to tell you, from a law enforcement, from a Secret Service perspective, the Secret Service has not fulfilled their primary mission. They've simply allowed way too many things to happen that could have ended in total tragedy. And were it not but for a millimeter in Butler, we'd be having a much different conversation about who the next president is going to be.
True. All of that is very true. The Secret Service has done an abysmal job, especially with the first assassination attempt. Let's keep listening.
If something happens to President Trump, it has cataclysmic effects for the entire world, let alone the United States. The military assets need to be turned on. And who can turn them on? President Joe Biden. But he's not going to do that.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to contradict you there, Mr. Stropoli. I think Joe Biden is going to give extra protections to Donald Trump. I know it's mainly become a meme at this point, but I really do think that Joe Biden and his wife both voted for Trump. Joe Biden did not take kindly to Kamala Harris kicking him off the ballot. Like, Joe Biden doesn't just not care about being president. I don't think he cares at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he just decided to declassify all those Area 51 documents. He knows he can basically just do whatever he wants at this point. He does not care. Give Donald Trump extra protections? Yeah, sure. No, got anything else going on. There's one more thing in this Glenn Beck episode, which I really think you should have a listen to. Really made my ears perk up.
Can the president ever hire additional security outside? If he wanted security, because I've said to him, you should get Gavin DeBecker. Can he do that? Is that allowed?
He can do that. By statute back to 1901, right? The Secret Service has to afford the president protection. But there's nothing that says he can't hire his additional protection, and the Secret Service is going to have to work with that, whether they like it or not.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. Trump has a butt ton of money. If he's allowed to hire extra protection, he definitely has the money for it. He's got so much money left over from the campaign. So since this is a Secret Service veteran who supports the idea of keeping Trump alive at all costs, I really want to just take his word for everything because I know he has a smart head on his shoulders. But I decided to fact check him anyway because that is what I am here for, and the internet was completely useless. I could not find anything to back this guy up or to discredit him. The internet has no idea if Trump is allowed to hire extra protection, so I'm just gonna have to take his word for it. It seems like Trump should definitely be allowed to hire extra protection, especially with all the drones that have been flying over the New Jersey area. The security America has right now, in general, is just in the toilet. There cannot be enough people protecting Trump right now on the ground and in the sky. We need helicopters. We need so many troops on the ground. So if Trump is allowed to hire his own guards as well as the Secret Service, that would change everything. Trump has been reportedly very tight-lipped about the status of the Secret Service right now. All he's saying in public and in private conversations with podcasters like Glenn Beck is he is satisfied and he doesn't want anybody to jinx it. So I sure hope he has a plan. Me, I'm personally not too worried. I know that God saved Trump's life for a reason. We already know that he saved Trump's life so he could win the election. Already, I think that's done the country a lot of good. So now we're gonna see if God also plans for Trump to be president. Whatever happens, God is ready for it. The Low Gray Show is a Low Gray Studios original podcast produced exclusively for Spotify. If you want to check out more of my stuff, you can do so by going to lowgraystudios.com. That's LOGRAY studios.com. There you will have links to all of my other social media sites, so while you wait for me to make the next episode of this podcast, you can check out some of my other stuff. And as I say at the end of every episode, it might be a long time before you hear from me again on this show, because my schedule for this podcast is very erratic. So the next episode could come out in a month, maybe 2 months, I have no idea. So I'd recommend you hit the notification bell so you are notified as soon as I make the next episode. That is all for me. My name is Luke Garnett. Stay informed and always check your sources.